Hey everybody, Christina here. I'm going to go over Adobe Premiere Pro and how to edit a video for a beginner. Now in my previous video, I did give a quick rundown of how to start off with a pretty good quality video. So if you want to check that out, please do. And let's get started. I've opened up my recording in Premiere Pro. Looking at the interface of Premiere Pro might be overwhelming as a beginner. Certainly it still does for me. I do have to say things have been getting easier so much over time. There are so many tools that are being introduced in Premiere Pro that allow for the ease of editing. And really in this video is basically an introduction to the most basic tools. These tools will allow you to be more comfortable with the program and hopefully more comfortable to learn new things. Like most Adobe products such as Illustrator and Photoshop, the workspace tool is going to be up here on the right. And there are different presets that you can choose. There's a starter, there's vertical, learning, and all these different ones that you can choose. I'm just working in essentials. This is an introduction video for one of my classes where we had to record ourselves and upload it so that we as a class can get to know each other. When I used to edit videos like this, where I had to edit dialogue and cut things, I used to always have to use this tool over here in the left bar called the razor tool, and I would have to cut every single thing out one by one. But now there is a tool in Premiere Pro that allows for a way easier way. It really cuts down on that time. As long as you have a monologue or a dialogue, there's a tool that can automatically detect what you're saying. In this main screen right here, I'm going to be able to see my video and any edits that I make to it. Down here is basically almost like the layers window that is seen in Photoshop and Illustrator. Down here, we have our audio options, and up here we have our video options. Up here are just the files that I have imported into my project. Here on the left-hand side, I'm gonna have my basic tools. Now, when I learned about this tool, I was so amazed because this honestly felt like a breakthrough. Up here on the right-hand side, there's gonna be a window called text. I'm gonna go to transcript right here. I'm just gonna hit transcribe. It's gonna automatically transcribe it here. We see in the right hand side, it has transcribed what I'm saying. This little symbol right here that has the brackets and dots, this is the tool picking up on pauses. So it's also very helpful when you pause in a video. Just by looking at what it has transcribed, we can obviously tell that I make a lot of mistakes. This is why in my previous video, I mentioned to keep going even though you make mistakes, because it can be easier to edit it out rather than to have to keep reshooting it for that perfect shot. So let's just go ahead and give a listen to it unedited. Hey everyone, my name is Christina and I am a first year. So obviously I am struggling trying to get out that sentence. I keep repeating myself and pausing. All I have to do is just click on that and it highlights that in blue, and I'm just going to hit backspace on my keyboard, and down here we can see that it is shortened. Again, to praise this tool, I love that it picks up on what I'm saying, and of course it's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes I mispronounce something or it picks up on my slight lisp and it doesn't really perfectly transcribe what I was saying, but that's okay. Over here in my video, I made a mistake, I misspoke. I immediately know without having to watch the whole video through that I made a mistake. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that out just by highlighting that and hitting backspace. When I erase a full sentence or even like a full paragraph of a monologue, sometimes it will have these pauses still in there. I'm just always gonna make sure that I remove those unless it's intentional. I have a little bit more editing to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just like how I mentioned earlier that it doesn't always pick up on things perfectly just because of my own speech problems. Over here, I kind of don't understand this little part, so I'm just going to listen through it and see what I was saying. Well, but in honest truth, I had no idea I was going to end up in the field that I am in now. So now I know what I'm saying. I was saying, but in honest truth, and it just put but in honest truth. So that's fine. I'm going to keep editing. Over here, obviously something derailed me. I got distracted and I kept recording. Let me see what it was. I tried sugar. So my cat was obviously messing with something in the background and I immediately stopped and tried to deal with it. So I'm just gonna cut that out as well. I made the edits that I needed to. Now I'm gonna give it a watch through to make sure that it makes sense. But I do want to point out that down here, now we can see all those edits that have been made. In the beginning, it was just one long video and one long audio, but because I removed some of the transcript, it made those edits and it has cut it up in different parts. Hey everyone, my name is Christina. Now, the first question that a lot of people tend to ask me is how I came to study architecture, and I feel like a lot of So there's this weird little pause that I noticed while watching this that I have right where I say and, so I'm just gonna highlight and remove that out and see what it sounds like without it. Ask me is how I came to study architecture. I feel like a lot of times I am expected to. So for me, that sounds a little bit more smooth. When I was in high school, I was full-time dual enrollment, meaning I was already in university. And I had already tried so many different paths. I tried engineering. So I didn't catch this when I was editing just by looking at the transcript, but I repeated myself here. Luckily, I watched through, so now I can just make that edit. Different paths. I tried engineering, didn't like that. I tried biology. Okay, so I did it again. I didn't notice that. Oftentimes these things can go overlooked, which is why it's always a good idea to watch through. And that's my story of how I ended up in my field of study. So now, having gone through my transcript and making sure that I made those edits to my dialogue, I can go ahead and add in some audio because it kind of fills in that extra silence in my video. Adobe offers some of their own sound and sound effects if you want to check that out. It's going to be located over here in the Essential Sound window under Browse, and you can search for sound effects or music. Let's say I already have a soundtrack in mind and it is not copyrighted, so I can use it and I already have it downloaded on my computer. I prefer using audios that are in the MP3 format. Usually your videos are going to be in the MP4 format, and I don't want to get confused. Because I already have an audio track prepared, I'm going to go ahead and import that as well as an outro. I'm going to go over here to the left-hand sidebar, click on import. I'm going to click on the files that I want to import. I'm just going to hit import. Right now, it might look like that it hasn't added anything because in my main sequence where I have my video edited right here, I don't see anything new. When I imported my files, it opened in a new sequence. If you're interested in learning how to make a simple outro or intro, that'll be in my next video. It is super easy to learn using Adobe Express. Anyways, I'm just going to go over here to where my project files are. I have my audio right here and I have my outro. I'm going to hold and drag. I'm just going to release, and now I have my outro in. The one thing that I want to fix, I don't know why my outro has this little issue, but it has two audio layers. If I try clicking on the audio track and trying to hit delete on my keyboard, it deletes the whole clip, and I do not want it to do that. So hitting Control Z to undo that delete. The reason why it deleted everything together is because that audio is linked to the video. You can unlink this. I'm going to right click and click unlink. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click and drag my audio in. Let's listen to what it sounds like with my monologue and that background music. Hey everyone, my name is Christina. I am a first year. You can barely hear what I'm saying. And that is because my background music audio levels have not been edited. This is common to see in beginner videos. Sometimes the background audio is way too loud, even though it has been turned down. So to do that, I'm going to select that audio track. I am going to right click and hit audio gain. Right now, the option that's selected is adjust gain by, and it says 0 dB. This is the decibel level. That is just the measurement of sound. Right now it is at 0 because it has neither been turned up and it has neither been turned down. And I want to turn it down. To turn that 0 down, I'm going to use a negative number. And yes, you can use a negative number for turning this down. I am going to turn it down by 5 decibel levels and hit OK. When I hit play, it still might sound too loud. Hey everyone, my name is Christina. I am a first year graduate. I'm going to adjust that again. I usually have my background music set at -25 most of the time. It is all up to personal preference and different factors as well. I'm gonna see what that sounds like. Graduate student studying for my Master's of Architecture. I have a Bachelor's of Science. I want to point out that my audio is longer than my actual video. If I just leave it like this, the video is going to keep going with the audio, and I do not want that. There are different ways that I can approach this. I can use my razor tool over here, make that cut right there where my bar is located, use my selection mouse, click on that and just delete it out. So now the audio stops with my outro. Another easier way would just be to select the whole track, go towards the end. When I hover towards the end of my track, I see this red symbol with an arrow. I'm going to hold and drag and stop right where my outro finished. And now I have shortened my track to fit within my video. Now let's watch my finished video. Hey everyone, my name is Christina. I am a first year graduate student studying for my Master's of Architecture. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Architecture and a minor in Professional Writing and a certificate in Design Communication and Fabrication. Now, the first question that a lot of people tend to ask me is how I came to study architecture. I feel like a lot of times I am expected to answer something like, I've always liked architecture, even as a kid. I do hear that a lot from my own classmates as well, but in honest truth, I had no idea I was gonna end up in the field that I am in now. When I was in high school, I was full-time dual enrollment, meaning I was already in university, and I already tried so many different paths. I tried engineering, didn't like that. I tried biology, didn't like that either. I tried political science, didn't like that either. And eventually, when I graduated high school and I was applying to universities, I had already chosen my major to be geosciences because I did like science, but I felt like I needed something else to do with that. I saw that my university required Chem 2 and Calculus 2, and I had already taken Chem 1 and Calculus 1, and I was not willing to go through that again. I started looking at other degree options and saw that my university offered architecture. I just went for it, and I told myself that I'll try it out, and if I didn't like it, then I'll just figure it out. Surprise, surprise, COVID happened my first year of university. So as a freshman, everything was online for the entire year, and I fell in love with architecture. So I've been doing that since. I don't think I would change that decision ever, to be honest. Hopefully I don't get judged too hard on that. And that's my story of how I ended up in my field of study. Thanks for watching. I think my video is pretty well edited for my class assignment, but I cannot just turn in a Premiere Pro file. My professor is requiring this to be a MP4 file over here to export, right where my mouse is right here. The first thing that I'm going to do before I export anything is go over here where it says range right under my video. I'm going to make sure that in this drop-down window it says entire source, because if it has custom or anything else selected besides entire source, it will only export a certain amount of your video. I've done this before. It can be troublesome. Now that I have everything selected, I'm just going to hit export. It's going to encode it and it will tell you the estimated time. And all you have to do is wait. Now this is my actual outro for this YouTube video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.